the Run the Hammer broadcast. And with our guest, you see his face. You don't see my ugly face, but I'm going to see if I can kind of get up here a little bit. Let's see here. Here we go. Show on the screen. And I don't know why my picture is not showing up, but that's all right. I'm not on show tonight anyway. So
there you
here
go.
we go. Here we go. That's me. And let's get you back up here. That's not the way it's supposed to be. But we'll keep him posted. Andre, you hear me well, don't you?
I do.
Okay, yeah. So let me get going here. Boy, what a week this been, and actually what a day. Crazy thing going on in our world of high school football. I just noticed that this afternoon that Bush Crosby at Osbury Wilkerson resigned his post, and I just saw that today. I got to give him a call later on. You know, there's always a reason things happen. That's what I tell folks all the time, and nobody jump to conclusion.
That's right.
You know, so we'll do that. But this is about Andre Cook tonight. Man, I'm so excited. When I first heard that you were the man at airport, and I said, "Man, you shitting me."
You're probably not the only one either, but
yeah. I said, "Whoa!" But that's I told you before that just tickled my heart because many years ago, you know, when we first started this thing, that wasn't always the way it used to be, and you know, and to see some of you young guys, I mean, growing into the sport and actually being good at it. You know, I am tickled pink, you know, to see this because I've been doing this for a little over. I'm doing it for a couple of months, and I remember, you know, when I was the only one in the room, and so I am tickled pink, you know, and just thinking about some of the legends that came before me, you know, and to see where this thing is right now. I mean, it is, you know. It's off the chain, but we'll get to that later on. You graduated from where?
From college or high school?
College.
From Youngstown State University.
Right. Yeah, you went to Youngstown State. Yeah.
I played at Youngstown State.
Who was your
head coach?
Yeah.
Jim Tressel.
Jim was your coach?
Yeah, I played for Jim Tressel.
Okay.
Was there from 95 to 99, and we won a national championship in 97.
Uh-huh.
And you know, it's kind of crazy because I went there because the 4 years before I got there, they played for 4 straight national championships. They won 2. They won 91. They lost in 92, and then they won back to back in 93 and 94. And then I got there in 95, and we went 3-8. And you know, that definitely wasn't what I was looking forward to. Then we came back the next year, went 8-3, and then the year after that went 13-2 and won it against McNeese State. So, but Coach Tressel is he was an awesome man when I was there. A lot of what I learned about coaching came from him, because he definitely tried to build us as men and not just football players during that time. So, a big part of my philosophy comes from Coach Tressel.
I think I met Jim when when was that? We were doing a camp at Minnesota, the Vikings, and Les Steckel was the coach then. He came in after he was one away from Bud Grant when Bud Grant retired. Then Bob Burns, and then Les Steckel. And we were doing something up there, and I met Jim. And man, he is a number one. I mean, he's a class act. You know, a lot of fun to be around in there. You know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and you played what there?
I started there as a corner, mostly. I played a little bit of corner, a little bit of free safety my freshman year. About halfway through there, they needed somebody to step in, play some running back, and so I did that. And then I ended up going back and playing some DB again. I dealt with a few injuries while I was there. The one thing, that I realize now even more so is that, like, I went to school in Western New York, in high school in Western New York, and weightlifting wasn't a part of our PE program. That wasn't something that we did to build athletes. It wasn't really that big of a deal. Matter of fact, in Western New York, a lot of times in PE class, they teach stuff like square dancing, and you got football players, you know, um, and you don't get an opportunity to get in there and really change your body when you're playing a part of a sport. And so I got to college, and you got guys that have been lifting weights for 4 years. My teammates from Ohio and Florida and California and Pennsylvania, and they've been in the weight room their whole time in high school. And me, I'm, a buck 60, out there trying to play football and playing for a school that's got a target on his back because they done beat everybody up over the last 4 years. And physically, I wasn't ready, probably physically, because of that. But I overcame, and it was a great experience. And and it wasn't always the greatest experience playing time wise or from a winning perspective, but I learned many life lessons during my time at Youngstown State that I try to carry on now to my athletes, even from some of the mistakes that I made and just how to overcome those things and, just in decision making. And so I'm very, very fortunate for the opportunities and experiences that I had while I was there. And, it has everything to do with who I am right now as a coach and as a man.
You you're from Buffalo. I think I read in your short bio.
Yes, sir.
I've been to Buffalo one time, and that's when I was playing at Green Bay. And we came there to play an exhibition game in that old stadium.
Yeah.
you know, one of the ones where you had to walk up the steps to the
That was probably the old stadium.
that was
Not
the
Rich Stadium. That was the old stadium.
old one. We
Yes, sir.
we talking wood right here.
Right.
And if I remember correctly, it may have been OJ first year there.
Okay.
When his first or second, it may have been his first or second year there at the Buffalo Bills and everything, And I was jazzed up, man. Being a member of the Green Bay Packers and going there to play and everything. That was a good experience. But I always remember that stadium because it was so old, relic, and it had that good football taste to it. And you look at what they're playing right now, gosh, look like they're monuments to somebody, to a pharaoh or something.
Yeah, that was old War Memorial Stadium is what I believe they called it.
That's what it was.
And so War Memorial ended up actually being turned into a high school stadium for a little while. I don't know if it's still going right now. I've been gone for some time, but I know that they were using it and kind of refurbished it as much as they could to be able to get some high school games in there. But, I remember when I was way younger, because we moved around a good little bit too. But when I was younger, I do remember not necessarily Bills games, but I remember War Memorial Stadium being where they used to play and where, certain events might have taken place. And then, now they're in the stadium they're in now, which has been renamed again. It was called Rich Stadium, and now I believe it's called New Era Stadium or something like that, named after the hat company, New Era, that makes the fitted caps and whatnot. So, yeah, it's amazing some of the stadiums that you see now. I can't imagine what it's like for you then when you see what the Atlanta Falcons are playing in right now compared to some of them stadiums back in the day, huh?
I have not been to an NFL football game in years. I look at the stadium, but I can just imagine those cathedrals that they're building right now. And when you left Youngstown State, where did you Where did you go?
So I actually, my senior year at Youngstown, well, I had a year left of eligibility. So I went back home and I played one season, my senior year, I guess, really, at Buffalo State College, which is in Buffalo. I played there for a year. I needed like 6 credits to graduate. It was a time in my life where it was a lot of learning going on. And like I said, when you're young and you're in a new environment and you're trying to figure out who you are, you don't always make the best decisions. And so, I thought that would be the best thing for me at that point. So I went back, played at Buffalo State for just that one year, took my credits, transferred them back to Youngstown State and got my degree from there. And then I was home, I guess, till about February. I graduated in December. I was there till February. And I just, from sitting around and not really doing much of anything, I figured it was time for me to make a change. And so I didn't have much, but I picked everything I had up and I moved down to Charlotte, where my dad happened to be staying. So he moved there in 99 after watching me play a game in 98. In 98, we played at Central Florida. Youngstown State did. That was Dante Culpepper's senior year. So my dad drove down all the way to Orlando to see that game at Central Florida. And he had never been to the South before, and so my dad, he grew up, in the 60s and 70s. And, he just, his vision of the South was whatever the old South was. And so he had no idea about the fact that there was even a city in the South. So when he drove through Charlotte, he was just amazed that Charlotte was a city. And he stopped. And so he ended up moving to Charlotte in 99. I came down, visited him in 99, during my spring break or whatever. And then, like I said, in February of 2000, I said, I got to do something different because the opportunities there, were none. Basically I looked at it like, in Buffalo, they were closing high schools. In Charlotte, they were building high schools. Downtown Buffalo was boarded up. Charlotte, they were putting up buildings. The job paper in Charlotte was 80 pages, and the job paper in Buffalo was 6 pages. And that's all I needed to know to convince me that I was in the wrong place. And if I wanted to grow, I needed to go to a place that was growing. So I moved to Charlotte in 2000. I was not in education. I didn't plan on being in education. I didn't plan on really even being a coach. I was in corporate America for a little bit, maybe about 4 years, working for Lockheed Martin in Charlotte. They had an office downtown. I was doing some work with, if anybody's ever been, if between the years of 2000 and 2004, if you got a red light camera ticket in Charlotte, I gave it to you probably. And I apologize, but that was what was paying the bills at the time. But I did that for about 4 years. And then was just really trying to figure out where I wanted to go. I tried to get into grad school at first, couldn't really find a program that I wanted. And then I ended up working with this nonprofit organization that dealt with young men who had been in the system in Charlotte. And so they were in the correctional system, and they owed community service and restitution hours and things like that. And so I would work with them on Saturdays to take them out to do their community service and restitution. And the company actually was a great concept because what it did for them is they worked off their community service hours, but then whatever restitution they may have owed for property damage or whatnot, they could work a certain number of more hours, and then the company would actually pay that off, pay their restitution off for them as well. And so I worked there for about a year. And we ended up going to North Mecklenburg High School to clean up and do our community service one time. And the person that we contacted there was one of the assistant principals there. And, I was a lead. And so I just kind of started talking to her about, the school, told her I used to play football and that I liked coaching, that I really thought about getting into it again because I missed it. By that time, I had been out of school, I guess, 4 or 5 years and 4 years. And I told her, that what would I need to do to get back into coaching football? Because football had always been such a huge part of my life. And she said, well, what's your degree? And I didn't go to school for teaching. I had a psychology degree. She says, well, I think maybe you could teach special education. I said, okay. And so she hooked me up with the principal. And I went in and I had an interview with the principal. And he and I talked for probably about an hour and a half. And it was nothing of it was about education. It was all about football. He was an ex-quarterback at Davidson College back in the day. And so we talked about football for a long time and just our experiences and what the game meant to us. And then after that, he called down the central office and told them he was sending me down there because he just hired me as their new special education teacher. And so I had no idea what I was getting into or what it was going to be to teach special ed. I was one of those kids in high school who I would sit with the special ed students kind of during lunch and stuff like that, and just to make them feel a part. But I didn't know too much about it. Well, when I got to North Mech, I was in the self-contained class with kids who were considered, behaviorally, emotionally disabled. And, and I learned a lot from that experience, just about how kids are impacted by the things they go through and their home life and a lot of different things. And so I did that my first 4 years teaching, but my first two were at North Mecklenburg, where I worked with Coach Glenn Padgett, who actually is a South Carolina guy, I believe, played at Burns back in the day, before going to A.L. Brown High School in Kannapolis. And I went there and I was there for 2 years, still teaching special ed. And then after that, I kind of decided that, special ed wasn't allowing me to do what I wanted to do. And what I wanted to do was I wanted to be around the students. My whole reason, besides the coaching part for getting into education, was to be with the kids and make a difference in their lives. And as a special education teacher, I didn't feel like it provided me that opportunity. It was all about the paperwork. And that wasn't what I wanted to do. So I figured out a way to get certified in PE and health. And so I did that. And I ended up at the same time getting a strength coach job right after I got my certification at West Brunswick High School out by the beach on the North Carolina side. And, I went and worked there for a year as their strength coach. And I had a great opportunity there to grow as a coach and as a strength coach. And after that, around that same time, I had just got separated from my ex-wife. And so my two oldest children, they were staying in Chester, and I would drive back and forth from Chester to the beach to pick them up and spend time. I think I calculated it. If I wanted to see them for a weekend total, I would drive 14 hours and 1,000 miles in a weekend to be able to spend a day and a half with them. And so I did that for, about 6-8 months. And I just, at some point I happened to just stop and saw Spring Valley High School was up in the Bojangles off I-20 in the Bojangles on Clemson Road. And, I just was like, what school district is that? And I happened to look it up. And when I looked it up, I saw Blythewood High School needed a strength coach, and I applied for the job and I got it. And to be honest, I've been working since I was 14, Coach Johnson. That's the first job I ever got in my life where I didn't know somebody. And so I know that was a blessing for me, going to Blythewood and being there for 6 years and being around some great people like Reggie Kennedy, my good friend Preston Thorne, who I met there. And I ended up meeting my wife, my new wife, my current wife, who we've been married about 10 years. It'll be 10 years on June 30th this year. I met her there as well. And so I spent those 6 years at Blythewood before going on to Fairfield Central, where I was there for 2 years with Demetrius Davis, who's a wonderful guy. And, I can't forget my boy, Terrell Roach, who, is, I learned a lot from and, spent a lot of time with there. And so after my 2 years there, left there and went to River Bluff, where I've been for the last 5 years with Blair Hart. And I kind of went there with him together. And, I looked at that as an opportunity to help build something that, maybe had a community branding or a school branding, but didn't really have a football brand at that point. And so my first year there, we kind of hit some bumps and and we struggled, and we kind of limped our way through the finish line. But then after we got a full season in, we got it turned around. There, he gave me my opportunity to be a defensive coordinator there, and I've been a DC there for the last 4 years. And we've had a good bit of success. The kids have bought in, the culture's changed. And, I figured that out when we went from being everybody's, homecoming game to being the game where either maybe some schools that don't want to play you, or then some of the big dogs start calling, like Gaffney and Dorman and Spartanburg. And now they're all calling and they want to play games. And so that experience was great. They treated me well at River Bluff, and the thing I'm most grateful for is just the way it set me up for this opportunity at Airport, which I'm just really, really excited about. I feel like Airport is, if there was anywhere I could have landed, that's where I'd want to be. And I'm ready to get going, and I'm ready to go there and see what we can make out of it, because I feel like it's a special place with just a lot of potential. And I'm ready to love on those kids, and hopefully they love me back, and we can get that thing going.
I've always said, an old man told me this one time, and he said that to be the best head coach, or to get an opportunity to become a head coach, you had to be the best assistant and be the head coach as an assistant in order to get that opportunity. What do you think about that?
I couldn't agree more. And, I've never, I knew what my place was, and I haven't always been that guy. What I know is that it feels like every staff I've been on, that head coach has their guy that they know that they can count on to carry out their message no matter what. And the more of those guys you have on your staff, the better off you are. But, the things I've kind of learned over the years, as I've climbed the ranks, I kind of started off at the bottom where, I was just an offensive assistant. Then, I kind of became a special teams coordinator. And then, when I got to River Bluff, I knew that in order for the message to be carried out, that was my job, to make sure that I was echoing everything that the head coach said and that he needed, and that what he wanted, and that I was mimicking his vision with everything that I've done. So, that's been my place for the last, 5 years, because I know that if I'm a head coach, I want to make sure I have people around me that do the same. And so no matter what it might be, and even if you don't agree, you might not always agree with what that message is, but the thing about it is, it's not your message to give. It's your job to make sure that everybody's hearing his message, because at the end of the day, it's his program and it's his message, and any of the blame goes on him and the recognition goes to him, or depending on who you listen to, it might go to the kids, because you know how sometimes the fans are. When it's a great game, the kids did great, but when it's bad, it's the coaches. So you all go through that. But I've just always made it a point to make sure that whatever it was, that I was mimicking and carrying out the vision of the head coach, because I feel like that's my job as an assistant, and especially somebody that has, within the program, that has a little bit of authority. And so for, the last few years, I've been the, associate head coach. And, I actually got my first win this year when COVID hit, and, coach couldn't be there. And I was the head coach when we played against Lugoff, first game of the year, which was an outstanding feeling, to go out there and to be able to do everything that we'd worked on and practiced on, and know that the kids are still doing everything that they're expected to do, although, the head guy wasn't there, and we were able to go out and get that win for him.
Well, you touched on it a little bit, but I believe in making sure we know who the boss is. And let's talk about your family here for a second. Now, you say you married for the second time, and you got the love of your life there. You want to give her a shout out? Because you want to be in the house.
Hey, I tell you what, I say, God he is amazing. And, who knew? I surely had no idea that when I was driving back and forth, picking my big kids up, that I would end up in this school and I would see this lady the very first day I stepped foot in there, and she would end up being my wife. Because it's funny because we didn't even talk all year. We didn't talk to the end of until the end of the school year, and then we've been talking ever since. So, but my wife is an amazing lady. She's definitely strong where I'm weak, and I think we just complement each other really well. And she supports me and really everything that I do. She motivates me, and she wasn't always a football person. And that's one thing that I love is just the way that she's grown to love the game through being with me. And she's in education as well. She's grown. She's an assistant principal right now at an elementary school. She's been an administrator at all three levels. My wife I guess 3 years ago she was the state assistant principal of the year. And so if you really want to talk about who the star is in this house, I put my wife on the podcast, and then she can tell you about how great she is because she's something special. But she keeps it all in line, and I couldn't be more blessed than to have her as my wife. She's not only that, my two big kids moved in with us, I guess probably about 4 years ago. 4 or 5 years ago, they moved in with us, and she's been, the best bonus mom they could ever have. She loves them like they are hers. And, and then, I guess a year ago, we had our first child together. And so she's, caring for a toddler. And then, she's also taking care of these two big kids. And, it's just, I couldn't be more happy or more proud or more grateful just for who she is. My two big kids, my son, he'll be a rising senior next year. He'll be coming with me to airport, and I couldn't be more proud of him. He's a National Honor Society student, and he just does everything the right way. He works extremely hard. He's the most polite kid you'll ever meet, and and he's a pretty good player too. And then my daughter is just, she's her own person, and she's extremely bright. She loves everybody and loves everything. And here's the thing, my daughter, she in seventh grade decided she wanted to be a vegetarian, and she's been a vegetarian ever since. And I can't imagine. I tried being a vegetarian once. It lasted for one day. And she's strong in that way, and she's just so bright and very, very artistic. And she's in the band, she plays volleyball, she's very artistic. She does everything, and she's a great friend to all of her friends. Pretty much her whole friend group is together because of her. Mm-hmm. And so she knows how to bring people together and love on them. And so I'm very, very proud of her and who she is. And then I have a 1-year-old named Chloe who really runs the house.
Of course.
And is into everything right now. I just figured out this morning that she knows how to get down off the bed by herself. And then we're expecting another baby. I'll have another little one in June.
All right.
So, yes, sir.
That's great, man. That is yes, fantastic. Well, always I tell the young guys all the time, make sure the house is happy.
Yes,
the house is happy, everything else will be okay. I promise you it will be okay. Let's get into why you do this thing. In the past, you've been under other people's philosophy somewhat. And now you get a chance to formulate your initial philosophy. And I say initial because over the years it's going to change. It's always going to evolve.
It is.
How are you going to go into building this program with your vision? What is your vision of this program? Now, I know Kirk and I are friends. Coach Burnett, we're good friends.
Yes,
everything, and you're going into a good, I think, a good situation right there. So tell me what's your vision of airport?
Well, I know that Coach Burnett has been there a long time. He's an airport guy through and through, and I definitely appreciate everything he's done for the program leading up to this point. And I just hope that I can improve upon or keep it going in the right direction moving forward. But everything that I'm about is going to be about trying to help that place and those kids just reach their full potential. I want everybody to see what they're capable of, and then I want to work each and every day to make sure that we are striving towards reaching our full potential. And the number one thing for me with that is just love. I want to, like I said earlier, I want to love on the kids. Hopefully, I believe eventually they'll come to love me back, and I want the coaches to love on them. I want them to love the fact that they play for Airport High School. And I just think that love is such a great motivating factor. I think we do more things out of love. They can be more successful than things that we might do for any other reason, whether it be fear or, being scared or whatever it might be. If it's based in love, it has a chance to grow and bloom and be great. And so, that's the biggest thing for me is making sure that those kids understand that we care and that we love them, and that I want to see them be successful. And so I know right from the beginning, it's just really, really important for them to see the level of care and just everything we do, and the way that we, prepare, and the way that, and the way that we talk to them. I'll be honest. I'm a positive coach. I use positivity and positive language, and I don't like to look at, I'm not a doomsday kind of guy. I don't like to even call them weaknesses. We like to call them areas of growth, because if you can't do something, you just can't do it yet. It's not maybe that you can't do it, but I want to look at it in a way that makes them see that there's an opportunity for them to be successful and do whatever it is that they can do to do that. And so that's a big part of it. Love, just knowing that every football team I've ever been around, or every team I've really even been around ever, if they loved each other, they had success. I told you I was on that 1997 national championship team at Youngstown State University. We loved each other. And when you love each other, you'll do anything for your teammate. You'll play as hard as you can. You'll lay out for a ball. You'll bear crawl to get a sack. You'll do whatever it might be. So your effort just goes to another level with that. But also in the classroom, and in the way that you behave on a day-to-day basis, if you have people that love you and are dependent on you to do things the right way, then you're more likely to do them when that love is in place. So that's a huge component of what I'm about and what we're going to put in place for those kids. Another thing is discipline. And when I say discipline, I don't look at that as like, oh, you're in trouble. Again, that just means just doing things the right way. I got three things that I like to say. I don't believe in, you can have a million rules and all that stuff if you want, but at the end of the day, we want the kids to do what's right, and we want them to do their best. If they're doing what's right and they're doing what's best, and they're doing their job, then that's all you can really ask, and that gives you the foundation to be extremely successful. As you move forward with the program. And so, one other thing I'm definitely going to do, out the gate is just challenge my seniors to lead, because again, I don't feel like you can have a successful program if your seniors aren't your leaders. Everybody's going to look up to your seniors, whether they're a good group or a bad group. And so it's important to, make sure that they are the ones that are, leading your program and leading it the right way. So automatically I'm going to be implementing something with my seniors to make sure that they see, what their role is in the program, and kind of build that for years to come. So, I got this, and I got this from Coach Tress. Now, when I was at Youngstown State, we had what we called our winner's manual. And so your winner's manual, it was all about, the things that you needed to be a winner in life. And, I don't call mine the winners. I don't call it the winners in life. I like to call my philosophy the winner's approach, because it's all about the way we approach things. How do you go about the way that you handle yourself? What is your approach to life? What is your approach to practice? I might understand the process of practice and what it's like to get through practice, but how do I approach practice? Do I approach it with the right mindset? And so, we're gonna talk about that winner's approach, and and how you can just make a difference within the community, within that school, within the program. And our kids are going to talk about that to each other. And so I'm hoping that, with allowing those seniors and having them be vulnerable a little bit with their teammates and classmates, that kind of builds a sense of love and community within our program, that really makes those guys, look forward to that as they get older. Right. So I'm a freshman. I'm sitting in here. I'm listening to this senior talk about, what it means to be an Airport Eagle, and, what's important to this program and how we can grow it, that hopefully that freshman is thinking about, what he's going to say when he's a senior. And if I can get that thing in place and rolling like that, I feel like we can have success for years to come.
You can't do it by yourself. And I've tried that. You have to get capable people to assist you in that vision. And I know you're formulating your staff and everything right now. How's that going?
It's coming together. Probably a little bit slower than I would like. But the good thing is there were a couple coaches in place that reached out and and wanted to be a part. There were some other coaches that didn't, and that's okay. But I think that the guys so far that I have that are bought in, and even some guys that are still reaching out to me, because there are still guys that are reaching out to me that want to be a part, and I'm kind of going through the process. I feel like they're good people, and I feel like they care about the kids. And so, for me, first and foremost, I need to have people that I know I can trust that are going to carry out my message the same way that I did for the guys, that I've worked under. So just guys that, are high character guys that, are going to love on the kids, like I said, and do right by them, and show them what it is to be a great man, because, your kids are going to, we spend more time with them than probably anybody else. Right. So, if we're not men of great character, and some of the habits that they're learning from us are questionable, then we're not really building great men. And I know that's, almost become cliche sometimes because you hear it so much, but I want great men with great character as a part of my staff, that do things the right way and do right by kids, and know how to motivate without belittling kids, and and that are loyal. I know that if I can't be there one day, that message or that routine or that or whatever it is that we have going on that day doesn't deviate too far from what the foundation is of our program. And like I say, I think I have some guys right now, a few guys in place that are on board, and that I feel like can carry out that message. But I'm still putting the pieces together.
Mhm.
And the one thing, and I heard Derek say this, when I listened to the podcast with him on there, and one thing I think that we all would like to have, and it doesn't always work this way, but you'd always like to have as many guys in the building as you could have. And it doesn't always work that way, but I know, and I know you might ask me a little bit later about advice for young coaches, and I'm gonna go ahead and give a little bit right now. If you're young and you want to be a coach, and you want to be a high school coach, you add more value to yourself if you make yourself if you get yourself certified and you make it so that you can work within that school and you can be around those kids every day, whether it be, it doesn't even matter what you're teaching, but if you can make it so that you're spending each and every day with them and they can see you on a day-to-day basis throughout the day and not just out at practice or on game day or anything like that, you are more valuable to them than you might even know. And I know that for me, that was a huge part of me getting to this point, was just, making sure I got that certification so I could be with the kids. And I would just encourage that, because there's not enough of us in education around these kids every day, making sure that they're seeing, our value within the school system. It's crazy. When I first went to River Bluff as a teacher, I had, other black kids. I had black kids on the team that didn't believe I was a teacher, right? Because I was a black man, that's just not anything that they were really used to. So they didn't believe me at first that I was a teacher. And, and I highly promote that and suggest that for any young coaches out there who want to be a coach, because I know for me as a first-time head coach trying to build a program, I know that the ability to have guys in the building, that can spend more than just practice time with those kids is just essential and a huge part of what I'm looking for right now.
You, Alexis, how many people are you allowed to have on your staff? Now you in Lexington, right?
Lexington 2, so Lex 2 is a little bit different.
30 coaches, I believe.
Well, Lex 1, I wish. Now, let me tell you. So, I just left. I'm leaving Lexington 1, they have 10 varsity assistants in Lex 1, and in Lexington 2, we only have 6.
Yeah.
And so, but the good thing is, right away, I was in a meeting with my superintendent who, is looking to make the situation better. So we're looking at ways to better staff the program, and I'm hoping that gets passed here real soon. And I told him we need 8, because I know, some districts in the area have 8, but some districts have more. Like even, Lexridge 5, I don't even know. They probably got about 14 varsity coaches. But we have 6 paid varsity spots, 2 JV paid spots, and 2 B team paid spots.
You can have a ball, to compete, because there's a lot of you competing against a bunch of coaches out there, and I think sometimes school district needs to understand they can't do things on the cheap anymore.
That's right.
You got to get out there and you got to. People look at it as spending, but I say invest in these kids.
Absolutely.
Kids, because if you invest in the kids, you'll see the return on it and everything. You just can't expect to continue doing the same thing and over again, and and expect change. You got to be able to change. You mostly defensive, or you offensive minded?
So I'm a defensive guy now. I didn't start off as a defensive guy. I started off as an offensive guy. I was a running backs coach, and I guess 3 of my first 4 years coaching, I was a running backs coach, and I was on the offensive side of the ball. I coached offense under Reggie Kennedy. I was his running backs coach for 2 years. And then when I started working under Dan Morgan, when Reggie went to Sumter, and I was working with Dan Morgan, I started coaching defensive backs. And then since then, I've been on the defensive side of the ball. So, I think somewhere along the way, in high school, I was a running back and I didn't want to hear nothing about defense. And then in college, I played a bunch of defense. And I think somewhere along the way, I fell in love with the pack mentality that's involved with playing defensive football. Although, I understand in order for an offense to execute, they have to play together and all the pieces have to be working like a fine-tuned machine. But just the pack mentality and the hunt mentality of being on the defensive side of the ball is something that I really, really enjoy. And, I like seeing kids running and playing fast and playing hard and getting after it and celebrating with each other, after they're making a big play. And so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Which I can't believe, because like I said, when I was in high school, I remember one of my coaches, I used to hate when it was time to go play defense. And he was like, you never know, you might be a defensive guy one day. And I told him, I was like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. I'm a running back. They're gonna give me the rock. And and before you knew it, I was on the defensive side of the ball, and now I love it.
Will you serve as your coordinator, or will you hire a coordinator?
So my goal, at least this first year, my goal is to have some guys in position as position coaches that I feel comfortable with, and kind of teaching them my philosophy defensively. If we have the pieces to be able to run it, and then having a good set of eyes up in the box and calling it myself, at least for this first year. Just because of the situation I'm going into is kind of late, as far as putting my staff together, and and I want to make sure that we establish ourselves as a solid defensive team. I want us to be known from day one as a sound, physical, fast, defense from day one. And so, if we can build our identity on that as a football team, I feel like, we can have success moving forward. But I know if you can't stop anybody, it doesn't really matter how good you are at anything else.
Good in every form. How long have you been at airport? I mean, when did you?
So technically, I'm still working full time at River Bluff.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess I was confirmed on February 24th or something like that. So, not quite 2 months. I guess a month, a little bit over a month and a half that I've been there. And, for me, so far, it's just really been about, developing relationships with the administrative team and with, the students, and, with the coaching staff, because I will be serving as the athletic director as well. Mm-hmm. And so just trying to build those relationships and just gather as much information as I can. That's been probably the big. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me ask you this. How are the kids, and this is probably a fair question to ask 6 months down the road, but how are the kids coming to you now? How are they adjusting to you? Is there a pull? I mean, what is it like at airport right now with the kids? And I know it's early.
Well, yeah, it's early, and I haven't got to spend nearly as much time there as I would like. But I'll say this. We had a night, and we had a night where they introduced me kind of to the community. And I knew I was doing the right thing. I had a kid that came up to me and he said, "Coach, I'm glad you're here because you really seem like you care." Mm-hmm. And when he told me that, I knew I was at the right place, and I knew I was doing the right thing. And from everything I can tell up to this point, the kids are excited. Is what I'm hearing from my interactions with them. I can see that they're excited, but also from the people that are able to see them a little bit more than I am right now. I probably spent the first, about week or so that I could get there. I just went to lunch, and I just kind of hung out with some of the kids and talked to them at lunch, and, try to figure out who they are, and, just kind of kick it with them a little bit, to let them know that it's not just about football to me. But I care about everything that you got going on. And so, so far it's been so good. And so far they've been very welcoming, but now I hadn't had to put anybody on the line yet or make them do up downs, uh, for being out of line. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, once somebody needs to be corrected.
Right. That's the right way to put it.
Yes, sir.
One of the key important, and I say this to coaches all the time. One of the key thing in here is the administration, and I think a lot of guys miss this point. And I tell them all the time, the principal run the building, and you got to have that relationship with that administration. How's that going so far?
I think it's going great, actually. But I think the thing about my principal is this is his first year in the building.
Mhm.
And so he's actually an airport guy. This is his first year in the building. And, he is looking for something new. I guess is probably the best way to put it. And, when I laid out my vision to him, I felt like it was the perfect marriage because it sounded like everything he was looking for was everything that I was about.
Mhm.
And so right now, just knowing and believing that I was his guy, I don't know if I was anybody else's guy, but, I believe I was his guy. And, because I was his guy, he's working to help me in situations as far as staffing. As far as, I told him right away, hey, there's some things I might need for the weight room. And he said, okay, here you go. I got, this much for you right now that we can put into the weight room. I got with one of my assistant principal of instruction and talked to her about, putting together a football class. She said, okay, we can do it like this. And so we're working on putting together a football class, not just a football class for, just seniors or just for upperclassmen. We're working on putting together a football class for the freshmen as well. And so, she's new as well this year. So I think it's good that all of us are really new to the situation. And at all times, we all kind of share a similar vision on what we believe the athletic program and the school can be, and how we're just going to continue to work together to be able to kind of serve each other and just make the place reach every bit of the potential that it has. And so it's definitely been a good transition and a good beginning with the administrative staff right now. They're definitely on my team.
Okay, what about the teachers? Have you met most of them yet?
I haven't met most of them. I've met many of them. I know one thing that I'm going to need their help tremendously with just this academic side of things. And I kind of already talked to my principal about something that I want to do academically as far as, requiring some tutoring for kids who aren't meeting the grade at the moment. And I feel like, if I can identify those teachers who are, who value that as much as I do, or who appreciate the fact that I value that, that'll help me to really build, quality relationships with them. But then also they'll be willing to do whatever it is that they can do to help those kids be successful. And so, all of the teachers that I've met up until this point, they, you got a few of them, they got a bunch of great ideas that you want to listen to. And I've heard some good ones, but I do feel like, for instance, I asked my principal today about, I want to get with even like the yearbook staff, right, to talk about some different ideas and the student involvement from other students, not just football players, but that's going to be a new individual too. So, I mean, I'm really starting with a blank canvas right now, and have an opportunity to really paint something beautiful, with the right people in place. And, one thing teachers are going to see about me from the gate is, like, I'm like this every day. This is just who I am. I don't have a coaching face and a teaching face and I want something face.
Mhm.
This is just who I am. And so, I'm going to continue to build those relationships with those teachers and be an avenue for them when they need assistance, and just also, be somebody that, supports the different things that they have going on in the school and those students that aren't athletes. Just because I feel like with the role that I have, it's important for me to not just support athletics, but for me to also support those other things, because I know if I'm supporting, or if athletics are supporting those other things that are going on within the school, that the other people within the school are then going to, kind of support athletics in return.
If you could spend an hour, I'll give you two. With no, an hour, but I'll give you two coaches. Who would those two coaches be?
One would be Tony Dungy.
Why?
For sure, because I think he's a tremendous man, a man of faith. He overcame, trials and tribulation and heartbreak, and still wears a smile every day. Every single day of his life, and he's all about serving and giving back to others. And I've just always really admired the man he is, and the grace and humility that he leads with each and every day. And I feel like he could teach me a lot, as a coach and as a man. And I've just always really, really admired Tony Dungy. I think about the fact that, Tony Dungy built something in Tampa, and then they let him go, and then they hired somebody else, and that person went and won with Tony Dungy's team. And, he smiled through it all, and then went and built something else, and won a different place. And so I just admire just the man he is, and the way that he's persevered through everything he's been through in life. And then, if I had to pick another one, let me see. Honestly, it'd probably be Bill Belichick, just because of the consistency, and how good he's been for how long he's been, and the product that he's built in New England, and how it was never really about. I mean, sure, you got Tom Brady there as a centerpiece for a long time, but it was never ever really about one guy. It was always about, their way of doing things. And there's a lot to be said about winners. Everybody doesn't like a winner. I do. Because I feel like you coach to win. I mean, you're not going to win every game, but if you're not coaching, looking to be successful and win football games, then I just wonder why you're doing it. I don't like losing. So I think that he has a formula that's been great for forever, and I feel like I could learn from him as well.
If there was one person outside of coaching that you could have 30 minutes with, I mean, just flat 30 minutes out of coaching, who would that person be?
Barack Obama.
I knew you were going to say that.
Every day, and twice on Tuesday. Yeah. Matter of fact, I'll take the 2 hours with Barack Obama, and then I'll split 15 and 15 with Tony Dungy and Bill Belichick. To be honest, I just, and I'm not a political guy at all. I don't do politics, man. But I probably never even paid attention to a presidency before Barack Obama. But the one thing I knew right away after he became president was that he was the only president to ever know what it felt like to be me.
Mm-hmm.
And, and because of that, I have just, great admiration for him, because I felt like through it all, again, he, even when he was doing right, he was wrong. And, I just know that he would have a lot to offer from a leadership standpoint. And, I always think about Barack Obama because my grandparents, who were very, very influential in my life, and I lost both of them within the last 5 years. But they were, my grandfather, he was 98 when he passed, and my grandmother was 96. And I just know that they probably never thought they'd see the day, uh, where somebody that looked like us would be the president of the United States of America. And so, they were very proud. I was very proud. And I just know that, um, everything he did through it all was, like I said, with great humility. And, and he was a leader through it all. And I appreciate him for that.
You get in this business, and like anything else, especially teachers, you have to go to these classes to keep yourself up to date and everything.
Mhm.
What do you do to keep up with the changing? I mean, the rapid changes in football today. What are some of the things you do? It just amazes me that coaches will not go and educate themselves. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm a big clinic guy, and I guess probably about 6 or so years ago, I remember going to the Glazer Clinic, and it was up in Charlotte. I paid for myself. I went up there, and it was amazing. And then it came with this vault
Mhm.
of other stuff, and so now I mean, it's about $30. I pay for the vault for myself every year because of the film and different things that are out there. There's a lot of guys on Twitter that have folders, just Google Drives and folders just full of information and video on different things. I think last year I found a guy had a folder with cut ups of every single Coastal Carolina offensive play for the entire season.
Mhm.
And I found that and just looking through it. Um, I like going to schools and listening, and a couple years ago went to Wofford and listened to them, and that was kind of when our defense changed. Going and sitting with those guys and just listening to what they did, and trying to kind of understand that, and because I mean the game changes, and it's funny because I went there and I learned this defense from them, and then they changed it. So they changed it, but I kept it, and it's been really good to me. But one big thing that I do, you know, most mornings is there's a lot of podcasts that are free, like the Coaching Coordinator Show, the Coaching Coordinator Podcast. I'm sorry, that's out there. And they have coaches on there all the time talking about everything from culture to defense to leadership to faith to family to everything. And so, I'm a big researcher, coach, and I don't shy away from research. I'm always looking for the new and next thing. And if I see something, trying to figure out what's what, or where I can find it, or who else has it. But there's just so many opportunities out there to get better that I don't understand why you wouldn't take advantage of it, because I know I don't know everything.
Mhm.
I don't feel like I know hardly anything sometimes, and there's a lot of guys out there that are way smarter than I am. But there's a lot of resources out there if you want to improve as a coach. From every aspect of the game. So you know, I'm definitely always looking for the next. I don't want to say the next best thing as far as scheme wise, but as far as information wise, I'm always looking for the next best thing.
I advise coaches all the time on January 1 of every year, dumb up.
That's right.
Just dumb up. You don't know anything so that you can learn. And sometimes we just get hung up in the same thing we were doing. Now, you have the same philosophy, have the same, what you believe. You got to have that.
Hmm.
But let's see if there's a better way of doing it. Let's see if you can incorporate some new things. And it doesn't necessarily have to be by the X's and O's. You know, Christ, I sit right here all the time with these programs, and I learn more than most people. I mean, I'm writing notes as you're talking. I never thought about doing it like that. But that's how you learn if you want to be an effective coach and everything, and be able to help your program grow. Well, we have passed out, man. I didn't realize time went by that fast. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Anything else you'd like to say to close us out?
I'm appreciative, Coach. Man, I'm glad that you got this platform out here for young coaches, especially young African American coaches. And the biggest thing I'd tell anybody, is that if you have a dream or a goal that you set for yourself, continue to work towards it. I set this goal, and I probably told this story about 40 times since I've been hired, but I graduated from Wingate University back in 2008 with my master's, and I decided right then that my goal was going to be an athletic director and head football coach in the state of South Carolina. And I wrote it down on a sheet of paper, and I still have it. And everything I've done professionally since then has been working towards that goal, from the education piece, from the relationships I've built, from going out and getting certifications, from the positions I've taken. And here I am now, 14 years, I guess, later, or however many years, 14 years, finally getting this opportunity to be able to lead. And there were times where I didn't think it would happen. There were times where I said, maybe I'm not good enough. There were times where I said, maybe I'm just supposed to do something else. But, every time those thoughts came up, I'd always push them back down. And I said, no, this is the goal you set for yourself. This is what you decided you want to do. And you've worked your butt off to get to this position, and it's going to happen. It won't necessarily be in your time. It'll be in God's time. And there's other jobs I applied for, like I heard on the podcast, Derek was talking about he applied for the Ridgeview job back then. So did I. At least he, but he interviewed. I didn't even get an interview, So, when Blythewood came open, long time ago, even though, in hindsight, I wasn't ready, but, I didn't get it. There are a number of jobs that I haven't gotten. There are a number of jobs that I didn't even get an interview for. But now here I am sitting here with this opportunity where there's a school, with a diverse population, with a group of kids, that, that needs somebody to love on them. And I couldn't be in a more perfect situation. And so I'm just grateful that I ended up where I'm supposed to. And I'm glad I didn't give up, and that I didn't rush it, and that I just stayed the course. And so, just stay the course, and your opportunity, it will come. Be prayerful, be intentional about the way that you move, and, be a person, make yourself marketable. Like I said earlier, maybe you never thought about being a teacher before, but if that makes you more marketable, then that's what it's all about, making yourself more marketable, and then just believe in yourself and whatever your plan is. I've been devising this plan over, like I said, 14 years, and now here it is. I had a chance to present it, and, just get yourself ready so that when your time comes, all you got to do is just speak from the heart, and you don't have to be anybody other than who you are already. And if they love you, they love you. And if they don't, then that wasn't the spot for you anyway.
It's amazing that you would bring up goal setting and everything. And I'll end with this. When I took over Scotts Branch back in 2005, and I see one of my ex-players on listen to this somewhere in 2005. They had lost 30 games in a row, I think, something like that. And that year I had 10 more. We lost 10 more games. So our first year there. But somewhere in that season, and I had already written this down just like you did, and because I'm big on goal setting. And that first year, I wrote down we're going to be state champions in by what's that, in 3 years. And I told them, guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to be, and then in that way, we gave them a vision of what's going on. They had an idea where this old man was taking them. They say, and the thing is, people got to realize about goal setting is that you're not going to have a bunch of people following you. Everybody's going to be laughing at you. You're the only one who's going to be out there. But you got to keep going. And 4 years later, we were playing for the state championship, and winning in the next two after that. And so you got to set those goals on young people. I hate to say young people, but coaches, you got to set goals. You got to have an idea where you want to go, and you got to be very specific on what you want to do. And it'll happen if you keep working at it. And it's not going to happen tomorrow, but if you keep working at it,
right? Because
you're going to fail. It's all right to fail. It's all right to get a no. You just learn from that experience and move on. But you will win if you don't quit.
Absolutely.
Well, Andre, I appreciate this, man. You got me going here again, but I need to let you get back to the family and everything. And I really appreciate this, man. When I first saw you, man, you tickled me pink, and just to listen to you, you got me tickled pink again. And knowing that our profession, especially among African American coaches, is getting better and better and better and better. And I really appreciate what you guys are doing, man.
Well, thank you, Coach, and thank you for having me on. And look forward to seeing who you have on here in the future, and hopefully talking to you again soon.
Well, I hope I didn't split any verbs tonight. Thank you, Andre, and you have a good night. Okay.
Yes, sir. You too. All right.
Good. Bye-bye.
Bye.